Hello, and welcome back to the Spud Space Agency. A little bit different today. We're going straight into our launch, so let's take off. And then I'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to do today. So, first off, this craft, you might basically recognize it. It is our Overkill Orbit Rescuer that we did last time, but instead of having a crew pod at the top, we have a probe core. And we've got a little bit of science and a communitron, but for the most part, it's very, very similar. Start slowly tilting us over here. And so, the main thing that we want to do today is complete more missions so that hopefully we get something to leave Kerbin system and go to a new planet. But to start with that, we need to rendezvous 2 orbits around Minmus. So what this craft is for is to go over, find the satellite around Minmus, dock to it, and then let go. That should complete this one. And then what I'm going to do after we've docked that, we're already going to be on the edge of the Kerbin system, so I can just send us out into the sun. And this engine here, instead of the Poodle engine that we normally use, is the Bobcat engine. So we can then test that whilst in orbit around the sun. I also apparently have put on the wrong probe core, as I don't have point probe rate controls, which is a little bit annoying. Not the end of the world, though. Yes, that's the problem with having 2 that look basically identical. Little hexagon things. Sweet, so that's our orbit completed. A pretty decent ascent, actually, for once. Cool, so as I said, first stop is to head to Minmus, so let's select that as our target. Is this a fairly painless Minmus encounter? Never happens. We're not even having to do the thing where we normally double back on ourselves and come back. Cool, and let's start our burn out towards Minmus. Cool, and there's our Minmus periapsis. Cool, and let's then just focus on Minmus and try and align our orbit nicely. Do want to come in at this side of Minmus, really. Basically want to try and line this up as much as possible with the orbit we already have. I mean, as long as there's just an intersect point, it's not too bad. There we go. If we intersect there, we can sort things out from that point onwards. And now, normally I would just warp to my next maneuver. However, since pretty much every other time I've clicked the warp to next maneuver button whilst doing this, my orbit has just severely dropped. So I'm just going to manually time warp to try and avoid the risk of that happening. Okay, so that's interesting. For some reason, my shift and control buttons are not working. Nor is this. Oh, something's gone very wrong. Oh, it's because we don't have a satellite connection, that's why. Okay, well, with a little bit of a panic of not having satellite connection and me thinking that all my controls were broken, we are intersecting with the orbit of the Minmus satellite that we want to try and dock with. We have a lot of fuel left, as expected, because this thing is ridiculous. Just extend out all of our solar panels. Cool, and then that burn should match us up with the orbit of the Minmus satellite quite nicely. Excellent. So we're captured around Minmus. Let's set our satellite as our target. I'm not entirely sure why it's giving our ascend. Oh, are we going in the wrong direction? Did I get this wrong? Oh, I did. So we're just replanning our correction burn because I decided to go the wrong direction because I read it wrong, apparently. So let's focus the view again. Oh, of course. Yeah. That makes a lot more sense. For some reason, I think in my head before I thought I was going to come that way, when I very obviously wasn't. When you just don't think about things. Well, I thought things have been going slightly too smoothly for one of my launches, let's face it. And this time, let's extend the antenna first. Have I ever run one of these? I have not. Cool. Well, let's just transmit that then. Cool. So now we're actually heading in much more the right direction. Cool, and then we can actually burn to even better of an orbit than last time, so that'll be nice. And if I'd have actually, you know, selected it last time, I would have realised that the nodes were flipped the other way around, which is kind of irritating, but cool. Here we are around Minmus, about to do our burn. No, we're not, because that's ridiculously low, so let's increase the thrust and do that again. There we go, that's much more like it. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Cool. So we need to get our capture, so speed ourselves up slightly so that catch up to them. Oh, that'll do. That's a nice separation. Oh, wow. It's a 1 second burn, even with the thrust all the way down. There we go. That'll do. It would definitely be a lot nicer if I was able to just click retrograde and prograde, but it's not the end of the world. In fact, you know what? This stage is done as well, but we really don't need it anymore. That made things considerably easier. No! Sticky keys just activated for the first time in years. I didn't want that. How close even are... Oh, no. I thought we were... Oh, wow. We are very close, though. Is that it? No, that's a planet. Ignore me. Oh, there it is. Oh, no. But we can't do anything because we're out of signal range. Well, that's very annoying. We're still not too far away, so we can just... Well, there's the satellite. Let's arm the grabbing unit. Point at the satellite. Did I lose it, or did I retract? Oh, I must have retracted it. I am also going to retract these solar panels so I don't smash them off. The claw is armed. Hey, there we go. Has that done it? Yes, it has. Dock 2 vessels. Amazing. Cool. So now that that's done, we can just release this boy. Disarm the claw. Let's retract this guy's solar panels. Otherwise, I'll forget and then we'll permanently run out. Awesome. Well, now we just need to leave the Kerbin. Well, escape from Minmus's sphere of influence, but then also leave the Kerbin system and orbit the sun. And before that, let's see if there's any more science we can grab. I know I'm losing some science here by transmitting it, but like it's just so much easier, especially when you've got a good communitron on. Wow, well that's a nice, easy escape Kerbin's atmosphere. 11 meters a second. Considering I've got 4,000, I think I might be okay. We are running low on electric charge, so let's just extend our solar panels to be safe. And there we go. Oh, still just in an orbit around Kerbin. I clearly wasn't paying enough attention. It's not exactly going to take a lot to... There we go. Whilst we wait to exit, I guess I can give you a little show of what this is. So, like I said, we've got the Bobcat engine, which is what I needed for the contract. And I've just got a little bit of science, so Magnum meter, all the usual things. I did shove on a what's it called? Oh, accelerometer. But it can't be done right now. I presume that's only once you're landed. I did shove on a mystery goo, just in... so I could. Probably should have put on a Science Junior as well, but didn't think about that. Little reaction wheel here just to help give us some more control because this one's is very small. And then obviously we had the Clampertron just so that we could complete that first contract. And some batteries. And there we go. We are in orbit around the sun. So this is our first vessel to leave the Kerbin system in this playthrough, which is pretty cool. I've rarely done this at all, so pretty awesome. So, moment of truth, can I just click run test? I can! Sweet, that's that one done. And let's do some science. Cool, well, I guess we'll just leave this thing on orbit around the sun, I guess. We've got enough delta V to send it back. That said, the satellite might not be strong enough. I should have put a relay on this, then I could have had a relay going around instead of just a satellite that can feed data back, but oh well, didn't think about that. Either way, let's go back to the Space Center. Cool, I thought I'd just have a quick nosy at what the surface bases are looking like. I realised that I never actually renamed this one, so I'm just going to quickly do that. Let's give it a base icon and then how much science we got? 360. Nice. Let's transmit that. Wow, this Communitron is so much quicker than the one on the Minmus base. Sweet. That's a nice little extra bit of science. Cool. How are we looking here? Well, yeah, not too bad. Another 200. Let's transmit this. Oh, we're not in signal. Well, let's warp until we have signal. Now we'll transmit science. Sweet, there we go. Another nice chunk of science we've got there. Awesome, well, we've got a lot of science from that, a decent amount of money. Let's see what our next missions are. Here we go. Didn't have to land on Minmus, apparently. Probably because I've already done it. Amazing. I can't wait. I've never been to E.V.E. So this one is just a flyby, I guess. But this is completely new to me now, so everything that I once knew, gone. Well, we're definitely accepting that. Well, definitely saving that for next time. So I guess this time, let's... What do we do? Well, after looking around to see what I can do just for another short mission to finish out this video, I'm thinking we don't need too much before we can afford to upgrade this to max, which means that we can then start unlocking all the science, which would be nice. So let's pick a mission that can just give us a decent amount of money. I mean, so build a new orbital station around Minmus. To do this, all I need to do is launch the one that I landed on Minmus, but just leave it in orbit. It's literally easier than the one that I've done previously. And again, this one should be fairly trivial as well. Well, then let's do the usual and hire another set of 5 people to leave in orbit around Minmus. So, Spud from the future here. I clearly never realised that it costs quite a lot of money to hire Kerbols. So this whole mission was to earn enough money to upgrade the base, and spoiler alert, I don't end up with enough, because I've just dropped down to 850,000 monies, and I don't earn that much back. And no idea that this was happening whilst filming it, so that's fun. The next 2 missions are completely pointless. Okay, so a little bit different. I'm just going to do this next bit voiceover so I can give a quick overview and cut it down a lot more, because it's a lot of me just whittering on and on for not much going on. So basically this ship is the Minmus base, but what I have done differently is I've put on some heat shields on each module so I can hopefully get them back into the atmosphere. I've then also added decouplers onto each of the engines so they can be detached off, and then that just means that I don't need to worry about trying to bring them into the atmosphere. And as well, you might notice I've added on a bit more science, so I've shoved on one of these infrared telescopes and a planet surveyor. Unfortunately, didn't realise that the telescope needs to be in solar orbit, but you can see me there extending out the scanner. You do need to be above 25,000 meters though, so in a little bit I'm gonna just extend my orbit out. And all the other science that I added on it, you can't use either. But I did manage to get the orbital satellite sort of in place, at least, so that was that contract completed. You just see me extending out the orbit to get the planet surveyor going, and that's what it looks like. So it's just an overlay which shows the sort of ore that is available on the planet. Pretty cool. Just kind of wanted to see what it did. And now what I'm going to try and do is I put a probe core and solar panel on the module that has the telescope on it. So in theory, just leave that orbiting. But what that means I can do is actually use that to extend out its orbit into a solar orbit. Unfortunately, the one solar panel constantly gets blocked by the rest of the craft. I then proceed to just routinely keep time warping and stopping time warp, checking just to see if I can get any form of electric charge, and that never really works out. I don't ever get to use the satellite. So I just head back to the ship, make sure that I've got enough Delta V to get back to Kerbin, and then we send them back. As we're re-entering, a bunch of the science modules start burning up, but that's okay. So I separate them, and unfortunately, when separating the two different stages, the stage with the science can't stage anything because it's not a control point, and I didn't set the parachutes to automatically open. So what I'm trying to do is head out and manually activate them. All I end up actually doing though is parachuting my Kerbols down manually, and then the science module just plummets to the ground. Then I was worried that the command pod had got destroyed because I couldn't switch back to it. Thankfully though, when I go back to the tracking center later, it's all good, it's fine. I was just too far away. But so I at least recovered all the Kerbols from the orbit, which is good considering I've realized how expensive they are now. Cool. And then for the next mission, we're just doing a mission to rescue someone from orbit around the Mun. So I've just got the overkill rescuer, same one as normal. You can see me just doing my ascent. Actually one of the best ascents I've ever done. It's really smooth. Look how nice that orbit line is. Yeah, you can see me just extending out my orbit into the Mun. And so the craft I have to dock with is on a fairly weird orbit, so I'm just kind of maneuvering it around now to make sure that I can match up with that. And here I am just going into the intersect, so we're fairly close now. Now the thing that's different with this mission is that I need to bring back both the craft and the Kerbol. I'm not just rescuing the Kerbol, which is fairly interesting. But if you look closely, there you go. That's me coming up onto the craft now. And his first attempt at trying to grab onto the craft. I've not armed it. There we go. Now the claw is armed and boink. And then I proceed to try again, where I'm going too fast, and I just punt it out the way. I'm sure the Kerbol inside it is getting very sick right now. But this one, yeah, so this is the one where I actually dock with it, and then this is just me getting back towards Kerbin. So there's the encounter got, bringing it down below into the atmosphere now. About to enter the atmosphere, coming up onto Kerbin. And we're in the atmosphere now, so almost home. I did a very shallow orbit, so you can see by the change in time of day. And what I wanted to do instead of just detach the lower craft in case I needed the extra speed because of holding onto a second command pod, is I manually deployed my parachute so I could keep the lower stage with the rocket fuel in, so that I could slow myself down manually with it. But as you can see there, I decided just to detach it because I was going plenty slow enough to land in the water safely. And that's that. That's the two Kerbols and the craft recovered from orbit around the Mun. So that's second mission complete. You can see there my money is still nowhere near what it should have been after doing these missions because I spent far too much on Kerbols. But then to close out the video, I just wanted to have a quick look at E.V.E. to prepare for next time. A very pink planet. The only thing I vaguely understand about E.V.E. is that it's got a very dense atmosphere, which means you can aerobrake to slow down and use parachutes, but it's also very quick at heating up and destroying your crafts, which is a little bit of a worry. So yeah, as the sun sets over the Kerbal Space Center, thanks very much for watching, guys, and hopefully see you next time for more exciting things. Bye.